So far in this module, we've worked through most of the pieces that I think are essential for understanding how to use Scratch for storytelling. We've looked at integrating multiple sprites. We've looked at changing the background. We've looked at adding in sound. We've looked at coordinating the sprites using a combination of timing and broadcasts so that when everything comes together, we get a little bit of a story. And now this is typically where I would give students, such as yourself, a chance to explore with this. And I think there's two possibilities for how we would proceed with turning students loose with the idea of storytelling. From experience, I found that the best way to get started often with storytelling is not to start completely and utterly from a blank screen, but instead to have students start with their first real storytelling activity to be to work within an existing framework. And so for your task for this, before we actually get to your full-blown homework, for your task, what I'd like you to do is to explore what I often have students do. And in fact, I've done this activity for several years with things like the Hour of Code, the National Computer Science Education Week Hour of Code, where we try to get students working with things. We introduce a little bit of the knock-knock joke, how to tell stories, and then we have students move on to this. So there's instructions on the class website as to how you will download a Scratch file called Potter Starter. Right? You'll download that onto your computer from the Course Builder site, and then you'll have to go in and do upload from your computer and upload that starter file into your program, and there's some instructions on the website as to how to do this. But once you then get into that, we've got this thing called Potter Starter, and Potter Starter is a very basic program that tells a little simple animated Harry Potter story. And this is a story that, as it says here, is based on a program I found on the Scratch website written by somebody else. Over the years, I've sort of modified it. And here's what it looks like. Let's just watch it. It's the green flag. We have a title screen to begin with. Now we have a little movie that comes out between Harry Potter and Luna Lovegood. We use just some really simple cartoon drawings for this so that you can not get into, you can talk to your students about issues of copyright and whether you can legally have pictures of Harry Potter and things like that in there. I know some school districts are very, very cautious about using actual images, so we use some cartoons here. You notice that now I've moved to a second scene, so Harry invites Luna to the Yuletide ball. Now they're at the Yuletide ball. They're talking about what a good time they've had. We go back and forth here. And there's a couple of things that you may see going on, right? And then we go to the final title sequence. And so what I'm going to ask you to do in this task is twofold. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is actually just explore this code. You'll notice that right now I've got Harry and Luna in my story, and that there are some other characters here, but notice that people, so for example, I've got a Neville sprite and a Ron sprite and a Voldemort you-know-who sprite, but right now they're not even really in the story. When the green flag is clicked, they hide themselves, and so they're not there. Harry and Luna are the only characters in here. Notice that Harry and Luna are all working by receiving broadcasts. Those broadcasts actually come from the stage manager, right? So the stage manager says when the green flag is pressed, play the opening sequence, right? The opening sequence plays for 5 seconds and then broadcasts scene 1. When scene 1 is done, we get scene 2, and so there's some different passing of messages back and forth to tell when the scenes are done. And what I'd like you to do is to just, for your first task, is to just look carefully at all of this code on the stage manager and on Harry and on Luna and see how this story is put together.